Omori was always one of those games that I heard a lot of good things about, but I just never got to it myself. A big reason behind that is because I'm just not a big RPG guy, with the only other RPG I've ever played being Undertale. Another big reason is because after watching the Omori trailer, I thought to myself, oh, it's another one of those games that look very cute and innocent at first, but once you actually start playing it, you'll realize it's actually very dark and sinister and covers deep themes like trauma and depression. Depression I could somewhat relate to, but trauma not as much. I've never been to war, I've never lost a close loved one, I've never experienced some terrible, devastating world-ending disaster. Unless maybe COVID? And because I never related to any of those things, I figured I wouldn't actually enjoy Omori because I couldn't connect to it. That said, about a week ago, I finally thought to myself, screw it. I bought the game, I downloaded it, I played it, and I completed it. After completing it, I came to realize that in many ways, I actually am traumatized. And so is everybody else. Omori, both the game and the character, is centered around suppressing memories, with the story jumping back and forth between the dream world, where the player plays as Omori and explores an ideal reality, and the real world, where the player plays as Sunny and encounters the bitterness of reality. The dream world is explicitly depicted as an escape. In the dream world, Sunny's friend group is still together, having picnics and going on adventures. In the real world, however, the friend group has split up, with everyone doing their own thing, closing themselves off and opting to disconnect themselves from their ex-friends. In the dream world, Aubrey is characterized with childlike innocence and has a cute crush on Omori. But in the real world, Aubrey is a bit of an asshole and hangs out with a group of bullies and absolutely freaking detests Omori. In the dream world, Marie helps guide everyone in their adventures as she hosts picnics and provides the player with solace, with a spot to heal and save, and in the real world, she's dead. It's one of the main kickers of the game, and where all the character conflicts derive from. As the story progresses, the player is told that Marie died by suicide, and her death was what forced Sunny into his hikikomori state. However, it's later revealed that Marie's suicide was just a bluff. Turns out, Sunny had killed Marie by accident, and he and Bezo opted to run away from responsibility by staging the whole ordeal as a suicide. But at the end of the day, Sunny still remains traumatized. That guilt and trauma manifests itself as something that preys on Sunny's fears, preventing him from doing the most basic tasks like walking down the stairs. In the first section of the game, the group has a fun and innocent time going through Bezo's photo album, until an unfamiliar photo shows up, reminding Sunny of Marie and abruptly ending the sweet dream by returning the player back to white space. No matter how hard Sunny tries, his trauma surrounding Marie always comes back. Believe it or not, I've never actually killed someone by accident, nor have I ever framed their death as a suicide, nor have I ever fabricated an entire world in my head where everything is sunshine and rainbows and I don't have to worry about the bitterness of reality. And as such, Omori wasn't really the most relatable game to me. I was still surprised and emotionally invested when I learned that Marie didn't actually kill herself, and the game did a good job at getting me to sympathize with Sunny. But at the end of the day, what he had gone through was just a little bit too far-fetched from my own comfortable reality. I just couldn't relate to the whole trauma thing. That was until a certain song came on. I think I speak for everyone when I say that the song Duet is one of the most emotionally charged songs in the whole game. It's the title screen song, but expanded upon given meaning, being the song that plays when Sunny finally overcomes Omori and chooses to embrace his memories of Marie, both the pretty and the ugly. And overall, it's just one really damn good song that literally only needs to incorporate the piano and violin. In case it hasn't already been made clear, I quite like Duet. So after completing the game, I figured why not learn how to play it? I printed the first sheet music of it I could find online and played my first note, then the second, then the third, then fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, everything else until I finished the whole song. It sounded like absolute butt cheeks. The song kept getting interrupted by me trying to figure out what note to play, which to my defense, it was my first time playing the piano in years. But then I remembered that that was just a thing. I was playing the piano again, and I began to wonder why it took me so long just to sit down and play an instrument I was so familiar with for so long. I mean, I've always liked music. I've always liked the sound of the piano. I've always had the skill set to play it. Yet somewhere along the way, I came to purposely neglect the piano for whatever reason, leaving it to collect dust in the living room. After some time, though, I remembered why I avoided playing the piano. I remembered the events that catalyzed my apathy towards the instrument. I was about 5 when I started playing the piano. At first, it was something I genuinely wanted to do, so I asked my parents, hey, can I play the piano? They said yes, signed me up for classes, and I started those classes, and I enjoyed it a lot. For the first few years until I didn't, at which point I asked my parents if I could quit, and they said I should wait to pass RCM level 8 first. That made 0 sense to a 3rd grader because they wanted me to pass that level for high school credits, which made 0 sense because I was still in elementary school. As a result, I really just started to hate the instrument, and one day I just completely stopped practicing, which pissed off my piano teacher and my parents. And every time I had class, it would just be me arguing back and forth between my piano teacher. I argued a lot, and never did I actually enjoy arguing at all. To me, I just thought that every week I would have to go to my piano teacher's place, waste my parents' money, and embarrass myself as I argue against a woman that was 3 times my age. It wasn't until I was 16 when my parents finally allowed me to drop out of piano classes after I managed to lie to everyone that I was tone deaf and therefore couldn't pass RCM level 8. By then, I was able to convince my parents that there was 0 purpose to me playing the piano, but that said, I still felt a lot of guilt towards the instrument. All the time wasted, all my parents' money wasted on piano classes. Due to that, I just never ever touched the instrument again for many, many years. I know I can't exactly say that getting stressed at the piano is comparable to murdering your sister, but regardless, it was enough to make me essentially fear the instrument for many, many, many years. As I remembered my experience with the piano, more and more memories that I chose to forget began sprouting out. My best friend in elementary school was peer pressured into bullying me. Since then, I've avoided large friend groups. My dad snapped a DVD when I was 3 because I scratched it a bit. For a decade, I've had a bit of an unhealthy habit of hoarding. My first breakup ended swiftly and regularly. To this day, I still can't escape the lingering thought that my partner might just leave me at any moment. The list can go on and on with certain items worse than others. I know I sound whiny about all this, hashtag first world suburban kid trauma. But ultimately, these tiny tragedies and mishaps still control my actions and identity today. There are many people out there who have experienced way worse than both me and Sunny for that matter. Because of that, I'm a bit hesitant to call my own misfortunes trauma in fear of diluting the word and undermining whatever hell others had to go through. All I'm trying to say is that everyone struggles with their past just like Sunny, and that tiny tragedies in everyday life can come to control and define people. We all have memories that we have suppressed. We all are plagued by misfortunes in our past, but only those willing to face those somethings in their lives are able to truly move on. Not everyone moves on, and Omori captures this bitter truth through its multiple endings. Sunny can face his past and rekindle his friendship just as much as he can also continue life as a hikikomori, leave faraway town with loose ends untied, and give in to Omori and end his own life. Because, unfortunately, trauma wins more often than not, and Omori is in a game that refrains from showing the ugly. I don't want to end this video off with a pessimistic tone. However, it would be a disservice to Omori's depiction of harsh reality if I decided to leave this video off on a high note. The game shows everything. It shows how trauma is created, how people cope with it, how people overcome it, and how people get overcome by it. Although no one can relate to the exact events of Omori, everyone can relate to struggling against life's tragedies, both big and small.